Thank you guys so much for visiting our beautiful city. You got great weather, you got a great hotel. Hopefully they let you out in time to go play around and enjoy it as well. But I'm thrilled that you're here. We hope that you come back many, many more times as well. So Michelle asked me if I would, I spoke last year and she, I think, booked me for this year the day after that last year before I got into the race. It was very important that I still honor my commitment and come here for a couple of reasons. Number one, in the bottom of my heart, I love Reto and Michelle. They are two of the most genuinely awesome people I have ever met. Their question, whatever their question is, the answer is yes from me. And that's how much I think of them. Plus, I also had a blast last year, so I'm seeing some familiar faces as well, some new ones. Today they asked me if I'd come in and talk about pitching and the power of pitch and how important that is. So I'm going to not necessarily freestyle this because I got the content inside my head, but I want to be a little bit unstructured as well and turn this almost not into a keynote as much as a little bit of participation and conversation as well. And I'll do my best not to shift into mayor mode as well, because this is the first presentation I've done business-wise in the past year. Everything has been campaign related the entire time, but I will tell you, it's really funny, you know, running for mayor has hardened my skin and it has softened my heart and it's made me a better human being for sure. But I will tell you that I genuinely feel I have a distinct advantage over any one of my opponents during the live debates, and I attribute that to my pitching ability. I'm one of those weird obsessive people that understands and gets the importance of having a proper pitch. Most people, when they deliver their pitch, whether it be political or whether it be professional, the time they practice their pitch the most is when? What do you guys think? When do most people practice their pitch? Yeah, right. Like when they're actually delivering their pitch in front of people, right? You know, and I've heard all of the reasons for why people don't want to practice their pitch or why they don't want to rehearse. They say, I don't want to sound scripted. I don't want it to sound canned. And anytime somebody says that, it always reminds me of the words of the great Zig Ziglar. You guys know Zig? Yeah. He said these words: would you like it with the Zig accent or without? All right, here, I'll do my best to give my Zig Ziglar impression. This will mean nothing to anybody who was born after 1970 who doesn't know what a cassette tape is. But trust me, Zig was the king of motivational speaking back then. We all had his motivational cassette tapes. And here's what he said. He said, if your presentation sounds canned, you haven't canned your presentation. That's the best I can do for a Zig. That was probably way off, by the way, but for those of you who have heard him, it's approximation. If your presentation sounds canned, you haven't canned your presentation. There's this learning curve on a pitch, or maybe it's this way actually, maybe it's a downward pitch, where you start practicing and it actually kind of gets worse. You know, because then you're trying to remember exactly what you're supposed to say, and you bumble and you stumble and you're trying to figure it out, and then eventually you just give up. And then you go back to the old, I don't want to practice it, I just want to deliver it organically, whatever that means. I don't really know what that means. But I will tell you that if you push through that dip, on the other side it's even harder, but once you get past that and you get back up, you can create a pitch which is just so beautiful, so eloquent that it sounds like you're just rolling off your tongue and you've never even practiced it. It's just coming from the heart, if you will. And that's my objective, that's my goal, is to give you guys the motivation today and then the insight as to how to develop and build a pitch which actually works powerfully. Now, I will also tell you this, most people have one way of pitching no matter where they're at. And that becomes problematic because I think there are 5 distinct pitches that every business owner needs to focus on. Now, we're not going to have time to go through all 5 of these here today, but I'm happy to share them with you in hopes that it'll inspire you to maybe want to go read some books and get in some information from that. So here's the 5 pitches that I think everybody in business really needs to master. Number 1 is the elevator pitch, or what I like to call the quick pitch because it rhymes. Sounds better. So the 15 to 30 second pitch that you just got to get out real quick, it tells them what they are, but it's designed to do one thing and one thing only, which is get them to put the foot in the door and say, hold on, I want to learn more. I like that. What are you talking about, right? Beyond the quick pitch, then there's a thing called the social pitch. Now, the social pitch, in my opinion, is the most important pitch out of any of them, because it's the one that you're probably delivering most of the time without you even knowing it. The social pitch is the one that you probably will be delivering when you're holding anything in your hand that you can drink. So whether it be an alcoholic beverage, a soda, a glass of water, a coffee, whatever, when you're in an environment where you're holding a drink in your hand, you're probably going to be delivering the social pitch. It's just much more of a casual atmosphere. They're not expecting to be sold. In fact, if you try doing a salesy pitch with them, they're probably going to go, walk away. They're not going to enjoy it. And that's why it's so critical, because those social pitches oftentimes are the ones that lead to the third one, which is the sales pitch. Now, I'm not going to talk about the sales pitch here today, number one, because I don't know your products as well as you do, so who am I to sit there and tell you guys how to sell your product? You guys know that better than I do. If we have time, we'll talk about some elements in there, and that's fine. But then the fourth one is what I refer to as the media pitch. So the media pitch is different than your sales pitch. It's different than your social pitch because it's designed to do one thing and one thing only, and that is to get the TV, radio, or newspapers to write about you, to get what we call earned media, where you don't have to pay for the ad, but they're willing to talk about you no matter what. And that's a completely different thing than a sales pitch. In fact, if you try delivering a sales pitch to the media, they won't even listen to you. Yeah. And then the fifth and the final one is what I refer to as the investor pitch. Now, the investor pitch is a little odd. Some people sit there and go, well, I'm never going to look for funding. I don't need an investor pitch. Or I never want to sell my business, I don't need that. Well, here's my thinking. My thinking about an investor pitch is it's more than just trying to pitch yourself to get funding for your company. Although, frankly, if you really want to grow and scale your company, there's probably going to be a point in time where you're going to want to take on some debt, and that's going to require a bit of an investor pitch because you're going to deliver it to the bank or some kind of a financing company. But there's a bigger investment that I think we all need to deal with, and that is the investment of employees, the investment of staff. Every time I interview somebody to work for my company, they get my investor pitch. And the reason for that is very simple. They're going to give me about a third of their life. You know, not quite a third, but pretty darn close. When you figure 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, hey man, and nowadays with technology the way it is, it's more than 8 hours, isn't it? We're texting them all night long, we're texting them on the weekend, so they've given essentially a third of their life to me. I think they deserve an investor pitch because they're taking and investing a third of their life with me. So those are 5 pitches that we focus on. Today, we're going to focus on the social pitch as much as possible, and there are key ingredients or elements that go inside a social pitch that just make you the life of the party, that just make you kind of really connect with people to where they get you and they want to learn more. So we're going to share with you what those are here today. Hopefully have some fun, tell some stories in the process, answer some questions, fire up. If I'm going too fast, tell me I'm going too fast. If I'm going too slow, tell me to kick it in gear, and I'll be here for about another 30 minutes, 45 minutes, something like that. So here we go. First and foremost, the first step in a social pitch is what we refer to as clarity. You've got to have clarity because when you're delivering a pitch, the moment you make your clients think, you've lost the game. I'll repeat that again. The moment you make your clients think, you've lost the game. Because the moment you make them think, they can't hear what you're saying. They're in their head internalizing, going, what does that mean? What's going on? What's going on? Right? So I see this all the time. One of the biggest mistakes I see with people when they deliver a pitch is they try to get cute. They try to be memorable. And so they try to rephrase what it is that they do in such a unique, creative way that it doesn't really communicate what they are. You guys have heard people do this. You go to a networking event, somebody stands up and they say things like, I'm a transportation specialist. I help people get from where they're going to where they want to be. And, you just sell cars, man. Just say you're a car salesman, right? You're not a transportation specialist, right? Yeah. I'm a residential lifestyle expert. No, you're a realtor. We get it. Yep, just say you're a realtor. Don't make me think, right? The worst one I ever heard in my life, God bless her, she gets up and she says, I design cranial prosthetics. I'm like, damn, sounds like a smart woman. I'm thinking brain surgeon, something kind of like, anybody got an idea about what a cranial prosthetic might be? Hats, good guess.
Oh, wigs.
Wigs. She builds wigs. And like I was literally just thinking she was a medical doctor doing some kind of thing for people for their neurology, and she makes wigs. And I'm like, man, don't make me think that hard. Just tell me you build wigs. I'm cool with that, right? I don't want to have to think. So remember, if you make them think, you've lost the game. So with the clarity, you want to be as simple and as basic as you possibly can be. So if I were to ask you guys, what do you do for a living? What would you say?
Outdoor lighting designer.
Yeah, I sell outdoor lights. Right, just keep it simple. Or outdoor lighting designer, that's fine too. But as simple as you possibly can. And by the way, if you do this right, you almost might not even like the way it sounds because it oversimplifies the art that you actually bring to the table. Right, you go, I don't sell lights. I don't work at Home Depot. I don't sell bulbs to people, right? So if you feel that way, you're probably on the right track. Because what happens is, if you get them to a place where they go, I've got it, I know everything about you by that one sentence, then the next time you talk, it pulls that back and they go, I don't have a clue. Now they're curious, right? Now they want to learn more. That's the psychology behind it, right? So you could just simply say, I sell outdoor lighting. But now, how do you make yourself sound, how do you make yourself sound like what it is that you actually do? Because it's not just selling lights, is it? You don't just sit there and throw them a box of lights and it's an IKEA kit and you got the stupid diagrams and you got to figure it out on your own. You guys are designers, right? So what you might want to do is, we have a pattern that we follow at our company. We call it name, saying, claim to fame. So the name is your name. Just, I don't think I need to tell you to tell people your name. You probably got that figured out. But the same is that basic, this is what I do that everybody understands, right? So the same. I sell lights. I sell outdoor lighting. That's the same, right? But then your claim to fame is what makes that particular function that I now don't have to think about because I've got a real clear image in my mind. That claim to fame is what makes you different than all of the other outdoor lighting specialists that are out there, right? So it might be something like this. Name, hi, my name's Topher Morrison. Same, I sell outdoor lighting. Claim to fame. And I specialize in working with 40,000 square foot homes and above to illuminate their outside as beautiful as their art on the inside. I don't know, I literally just made that up, okay? Yep. My name is Topher. I sell outdoor lighting. I specialize in working with middle-class homes that want to make sure their house looks like a mansion. Right? Yeah, whatever it is, right? Like find out your niche and pick it. My name is Topher. I sell outdoor lighting. I specialize in working with homes in the Cross Creek Ranch area. If you've been to Cross Creek Ranch and you've seen a beautiful home, chances are I was the one that lit that house. Right? So it could be geography, it could be size of house, it could be the style. I don't care. I'm not going to tell you guys what your niche is, but you want to have something that makes you special, something that makes you different to where somebody else can't sit there and steal that away from you, but that's yours. That make sense? And if you get that, you got your clarity right then and there. They don't have to think, they don't have to understand, they just get it. Got it? Got it. Clarity. That's your first step. Now, by the way, I'm going to go through these different things, and I'm not going to say that you have to deliver them in this order. You can deliver them in any order you want. However, the order I'm going to share them with you is typically the order in which they unfold psychologically, what most people would want to know. So the first one is the name, saying, claim to fame, gives you your clarity. The second piece would be this. So if everybody knows what you do in your market, if you've got clarity beyond clarity, and everybody knows what you do, but nobody respects you, how hard's your job going to be? Next to impossible. Right? So it's not just enough to have clarity in what you do. You also have to back that up with what? Some credibility. Yep, you got to have the credibility to back that up. So for example, if I said, hi, my name is Topher Morrison. I sell outdoor lighting. I specialize in work with homes 40,000 square feet or above to illuminate them on the outside as beautiful as they look like on the inside. I think that's what I said. And then they sit there and go, how many homes have you worked with? And I go, none. You're my first. Probably lacking on the credibility side, right? Yeah. So the credibility is what gives you the right to say that you specialize in the thing that you said. Yeah. So it might be something like this. Hey, my name's Topher Morrison. I sell outdoor lighting. I specialize in working with middle-class homes to make them look like mansions. And over the past 5 years, I've installed our lighting designs in over 3,000 homes in the Tampa Bay market. Right? Got my credibility. Now I'm going to give you the secret to credibility. Here is the secret. Are you ready? Numbers. Numbers create credibility. It's weird. I don't know why necessarily. I'll give you my best guess. But the more numbers you can put into your credibility piece, the more credibility you will have. And I think the reason for that is this. This is my guess. Numbers are absolute. They're non-negotiable. Words have multiple meanings. Numbers only have one. So when you throw out a number, it's a non-negotiable. It's a fact. Where if you throw out words, it's subjective, and I'll give you an example. So if I were to go into my credibility piece, I'll leave off the clarity, I'll just get into the credibility here. If I were to say something to the effect of, and I've worked with a lot of homes throughout the Tampa Bay area over the past 5 or 6 years. Actually, let me get rid of the numbers. I've worked with a lot of homes for quite a while now. Do you hear the difference between I've worked with a lot of homes for quite a while now versus I've illuminated over 3,000 homes in the past 5 years? It just gives it weight, right? It gives it that credibility. So what are some numbers that you can throw out? Some numbers you can throw out. What is McDonald's used as their credibility piece? Which, by the way, let's just face it, it's billions and billions. They lost count over, like, I think it was like in the 1970s, there was like a 2 billion, and then they finally, screw it, we'll just say billions and billions, right? Probably because they've served so many, it wouldn't even fit on the sign at this point in time, right? But let's face it, it's a horrible product with low quality standards, right? Hopefully nobody's got stock in McDonald's here, right? But the fact that they've served, I mean, you can't go anywhere without see them anywhere, right? They got that credibility just by sheer numbers alone, right? So what you want to do is you want to throw out numbers. You could actually talk about how many clients you've served, how many lights you've installed. Have you ever counted that? That'd be interesting to go through, and you've installed 43,000 lights over the past 10 years, right? Like, what would the number be, right? You could be doing dollars sold, and over the past 15 years, we've sold over $3 billion in lights in the local 3-county area. By the way, weird numbers like 3-county area, it's still a number, right? Any number you can throw out, it creates that absolute feeling, right? So as many numbers you can get, the better. And that'll give you the credibility that you're looking for. Now, there's other ways to gain credibility. You can talk about associations, you can talk about other things, but for the most part, just stick with numbers. That's the easiest, quickest, simplest solution I can tell you right now. The more numbers you got, the better. So you got your clarity, you got your credibility. Now, the next natural question that somebody's going to want to know is, does it apply to me? Or do you really get my problem, right? Now, this is where it gets a little bit tricky, and this is why I love social pitches more than sales pitches. There are can I use this flip chart? Is that okay? All right. So there are 2 types of, I hate breaking people down into 2 groups. It's such a weird generalization, but it works in speaking. So we'll throw people into 2 categories here. So there's way more than just 2 types of people, but you'll get the idea. So I'm going to draw a line here, and I'm going to say this. So we're going to call the 2 types of people in the world, we're going to call people in pain and looking, okay? So in pain and looking is the guy or the lady who has a house, there's no lights, and their neighbor just had Garden Light LED come in and install this beautiful lightscape that just makes that house pop. And that person looks over and goes, huh, my house sucks now, right? And now they're in pain, right? And they're looking for a way to compete with the Joneses. That would be somebody in pain and looking. Then there's the other people that I refer to as the blissfully, I don't even know if that's a word, unaware. The blissfully unaware are the people that don't even realize that lights, the blissfully unaware are the groups of people that don't even know what lights can do to their outside area. Make sense? Yeah. Now, just out of curiosity, by the way, kind of a sidestep out of the pitching, just look at it from a marketing perspective. If you guys were to break down the percentage of population, what percentage of the people out there are actually in pain looking for lights versus blissfully unaware? If you were to throw out a percentage, what would you say? Percentage of in pain and looking, what do you think? Okay, I usually hear 5 to 20%. How many would agree? Yep. Cool. Mathematically, I think I can deduce the other one, but if you want to participate, go ahead. What would you say over here? Somewhere between 80 to 95%. And by the way, if I were to guess, here's what I would say. It's probably closer to the 5% and the 95% range. Yep, but we'll stick with Pareto's principle and 80-20, and that's cool as well, right? Most people aren't actually waking up going, how do I get lights from the house, right? They're blissfully unaware. They don't even get it, right? They just don't get it. Now, here's the funny part. Check this out. Where do you think most outdoor LED lighting companies, or any kind of lighting company, where do you think most companies are spending the majority of their time trying to get business from? 5%. Over here, right? You're looking for those people that are in pain and looking, right? So this is interesting. By the way, what percentage of the companies out there are spending their time over here? What do you think? What percentage? Oh, look at that, 5 to 20%. 80 to 95% over here, right? And then there's very few people that are focusing on the blissfully unaware because they haven't even indicated they're interested, so why would you spend time with them, right? So we got 5 to 20% over here, right? So check this out. 80% or 95% of your competition is trying to get 5% of the business. Think about that, right? And yet only 5% of the companies are actually going after the meat on the bone, the 95% of the people who are blissfully unaware. There's a book, I highly recommend it, called Blue Ocean Strategies, which talks about this whole process. Did somebody already mention that?
Michelle.
Oh, did she? Michelle, did you talk about that? Yeah. So, excuse me. Blue Ocean Strategies is about this whole thing right here. It's about looking, man, this is one bloody ocean over here, man. Everybody's trying to get the small little meat that's here, and it's gross, right? But the smart fish are the ones that swim over the blue ocean to where nobody's over there, and they got pickings all they want, right? So the cool, by the way, also, interestingly enough, the blissfully unaware, they have their guard down. But the in pain, makes no sense, by the way. People that are in pain and looking for help are the ones that have the biggest guard up and the biggest skeptics, right? They're gonna rip me off with my lights? It's just weird, right? They've admitted that they're in pain. They've admitted they want help, and yet they still become very skeptical of any salespeople coming around. So when you look at this from a perspective of in the social pitch, we kind of assume that in a social environment, just assume you're speaking to blissfully unaware people, right? And that's why if you can design your pitch in a way which isn't salesy, you can attract these people. And by the way, the cool thing about this is if you can win the hearts of people that are blissfully unaware, when they're blissfully unaware, the moment they become in pain and looking, who occupies their brain space? You do. Get the idea? Yeah. So, all right, so where are we at? Okay, so now, this next question, and this is what kind of brought this up. The next question, whether it's conscious, meaning I'm in pain and looking, or whether it's subliminal, meaning I'm blissfully unaware, but if you hit my trigger point, I may go, oh, crap, I don't have lights on the outside of my house, right? So the third part is, what is the problem that you solve? Yeah? And for many people, it's like, do I even have a problem, right? So if you point this out. So I'm going to give you some specific languaging on this to make sure that you do it in a really cool, subtle way. So from a problem perspective, you want to be able to identify what problem you solve. And the easiest way to do that, the verbal stem, if I were to give you, is I would say something to the effect of like this. Most people, most homeowners, right? Because I would venture to say most renters aren't going to be wanting to light their, a small population of them, I suppose, but most homeowners, right? You can say something like, the challenge that most homeowners face with their landscaping is they spend all of this time, energy, and effort mowing the lawn and trimming the hedges and pruning the trees, and people can only see it during the daytime. When in fact, the way to really appreciate the beauty is to have that spotlight shone right on those places where you've spent your time and your attention, your effort. And that's the majority of the time. When you spend it, it's your house, isn't it? I'm spitballing this stuff because I don't sell your houses, right? So maybe that's not the main problem. You guys know your problems that you solve better than anything, right? Or it might be something like, homeowners typically suffer from three main problems with regard to their outdoor landscaping. Number one, they don't know how to properly light it. As a result, they spend more time, energy, and effort making the yard look beautiful, but nobody can see it once the sun goes down. Number two, they're trying to sell their house, and they're competing with all of the other homes on the market, and there's nothing that definitively makes it stand out and pop and say, buy me. And the third problem, right, you just kind of go through, what are those problems? I recommend you never talk about more than three problems. And if you can keep it to one or two, especially in a social environment, that's even better. But here's the key. When you deliver the problem, never deliver it in first person. It's too salesy, right? So listen to the difference between this, right? Hi, my name's Topher. I sell outdoor lighting. I specialize in working with homes 40,000 square feet or above to illuminate the outside of their house to look as beautiful as the art on the inside. Over the past 5 years, I've installed lighting in some of the most incredible homes out there. In fact, to this date, we've installed lighting in over 1,000 homes in the highest net worth zip codes around. Okay, there's my credibility, right? And the biggest problem you face when trying to light up your house is that you don't know how much time and energy you're spending and money with the landscaping only to have it not even be shown up at night, and that can frustrate you. That was done in first person where I'm saying you, right? But remember, we just got drinks in our hands, man. We're just rapping. You didn't ask me to sell you anything. You just asked me what I do for a living. Does that make sense? So it's a little bit in your face. Can you feel how that felt, right? Whereas if I'm with a drink in my hand and go, over the past 10 years, we've put over 40,000 lights in over 3,000 homes in the area. And I think the reason why we've done it is probably because, I mean, the biggest challenge that most people face, most homeowners face, is that they just spend all their money on landscaping. They never do anything to light it up at night, and that's the time when they're usually at their home most. See, when I said that in third person, where most people, now it's not in your face. You get it? And especially if it's somebody who's blissfully unaware, when you phrase it that way, that's when you might actually get them to go, that's me, right? But without having any kind of resistance. So if you start saying you, it's too in your face. But if you do it as most people, most homeowners, and keep it in third person, it's just cool, right? It's not in your face pushy. Does that make sense? All right, cool. So we got our clarity. We got our credibility. Now you're identifying the biggest problem, which hopefully takes the blissfully unaware and puts them in pain and looking. Or it identifies the people that are already in pain looking, going, yes, 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 that's exactly what I was thinking, right? That's cool. But then the next thing is, if you get them to that awake stage to where they're looking, or even if now they're just listening. By the way, a social pitch really is designed to get them to do one of two things. It's designed to get them to say, I want to know more. It never, ever gets them to say, I want to buy, right? It just says, oh, I'd like to learn more, right? Or, and in most cases, you know what? You need to speak to my friend so-and-so. I'll give you an example of the power of this. So I met with a bookkeeper. This was well over 3 years ago. I don't remember her name, but I remember the conversation almost to the word. I asked her a question that I love to ask people just to see if they even have a good answer, because most people don't. I said, who's your target market? And here's what she said. She goes, oh, I work exclusively with general contractors that drive a Ford F-150 or a Dodge Ram truck. And that truck has to have a full body wrap advertising their company. And they have to be married with 2 kids under the age of 16 and been in business for longer than 10 years. Now here's the crazy part, okay? First thing, one person came to my mind. Ryan Townsend. A friend of mine who has a Dodge Ram truck with a full body wrap. He's got 2 kids under the age of 16. He's been a general contractor for over 20 years. And I felt like I was winning the lottery, right? I was like, oh, I got to introduce you to just Ryan Townsend. And I completely forgot that Ryan's wife is his bookkeeper. I felt compelled to sell Ryan this bookkeeper, right? It's the weirdest phenomena. But when you get to such a level of specificity, and you get that person saying, oh, you need to meet my friend so-and-so. He has a house that's about 40,000 square feet. Or, oh, you need my friend, right? So if you have that specificity and that clarity, they kind of feel like they won something, right? By the way, as a side note, do you want to know why she wanted all that? Because I did. Like, I look at her and I go, that's amazingly specific. And she goes, I can tell you why I want all of those things. I go, please share with me. And here's what she said. This shows you the depth of thinking she had. She goes, well, I want them to have a Dodge Ram truck or a Ford F-150 because those are the 2 most expensive trucks on the market. So if they're a general contractor driving a Toyota, probably not my style. She goes, and I want them to have a full body wrap instead of a magnet because if they put a magnet on their door, chances are they're pretty cheap. But if they put a body wrap around their car, they take great pride in what they do. And she goes, and I'm a bookkeeper, I'm not a door magnet, I'm a full body wrap, baby. And she goes, I want them to be in business longer than 10 years because they've suffered at least one economic downturn and survived. And I want them to have 2 kids under the age of 16 because they're burdened by having to get them to soccer practice and football and clarinet practice, and they don't have time for their bookkeeping. I was like, that's just genius, right? I teach this stuff, and I don't even have that level of specificity. I was like, you schooled me, for sure, right? So anyway, I'm kind of diverting here on the stories, but hopefully you're enjoying them. All right, so we get into this. So the next thing is after you've identified the problem, what they really kind of want to know is how do you solve that problem, right? How are you going to solve my friend's problem, or how are you going to solve my problem? So the verbal stem I use on that one is I say something like that, and we solve those problems by, right? So the stem on the first one is the problems most homeowners face is, and then you throw out whatever it is, and then you say, and we solve that problem by, right? So it might sound something like this, my name's Topher Morrison, I sell outdoor lighting, I specialize in working with 40,000 square foot homes or bigger to make sure that the outside is illuminated as beautiful as the art on the inside. I've worked with over 3,000 homes across the US for the past 10 years. The biggest challenge homeowners that have beautiful mansions like that face is they spend upwards of $5,000 a month on landscaping without thinking specifically how to light that landscape up as a beautiful piece of art. I solve that problem by going out and installing the lights firsthand before they've even agreed to buy them, knowing that you'll never buy a Monet or Renoir without first seeing it. Because I'm selling art, I install the entire process, knowing that I will create a masterpiece so exquisite they will purchase it. Hey. Making it up. Yeah. Sold. All right, cool. I just need to get a company now. And a 40,000 square foot house. All right. And 3,000 customers all over the country. It sounds good. All right, so that's you talk about the problem, and the problem has to solve the solution has to solve the exact problem that you talked about. Now, all of that needs to be done in that very casual third-person style to where you're not pushing it on them or anything like that. And hey, by the way, just so you'll know, rarely does all of those things happen all at once. I mean, if you're sitting with a drink in your hand and somebody says, hey, what do you do for a living? They don't want all 4 of those answers, right? It's a little weird, right? But that would be appropriate. How many times have you ever been in an environment where you've met the host of the party or something like that? Maybe you even helped them with their house and they loved it or something like that. And you go, hey guys, hey, shut up. Hey, I want you to meet my friend Michelle. Michelle, tell them what it is that you do. We've all had situations like that, right? Where we're put on the spot instantly and we have to actually deliver a pitch, right? So there are times where you may be delivering them one after another in concession, but secession? My brain's fired. Anyway, you guys get the idea, in order. But the idea is that if you get these things memorized to where you have them down, what happens is you end up having a conversation. So a typical conversation, you're at a networking event, you walk up and you go, hey, how you doing? My name's Topher, what's yours?
What's up, man? I'm Nick.
Nick, no, what do you do for a living?
Right? We do outdoor lighting.
Very cool. And now I'm asking about him. By the way, when most people say, what do you do for a living, what do they really care about?
How much money you make?
No. They care about when they're going to ask them the return question, what do you do? Let's face it, like, can we just be honest with ourselves? When we're networking and we're asking people what do they do for a living, we're really just, when are they going to ask me that same question, right? So the reality is I'm just waiting for him to ask me that question, right? So eventually, he might eventually get in the conversation, he goes, but what do you do? And I go, well, thanks for asking, you know? And then I go into that, but I just do the clarity piece, right? Just do the clarity piece. And then the conversation goes, and then I ping it back to him, and I go, hey, what got you into your business, right? You know, and then he tells me, and he goes, what about you? And I go, well, and then I've been doing it for the last 5 years, you know, and the conversation kind of unrolls naturally, right? So you want to have these things as independent thoughts that can be said in any order that you want. That's how you know you've developed a great pitch with step-by-step, because you can put them and mix them and match them in any order whatsoever. So if somebody comes up and says, hey, I heard that you specialize in outdoor lighting from my friend Nick over there. Tell me, do you have any specialties that you work with? And you go, why, yes, I specialize in working with 40,000 square foot homes to illuminate the outside as beautiful as the art on the inside, right? And you just got this, you just roll that off every single time. Make sense? Okay, cool. So now we're going to, what's that? Okay, cool. How am I doing on time here? Okay, better speed up. All right, so now we're going to flip over and we're going to go to now we're getting into deeper conversation. And this is the one part of a pitch that most people always ignore. And yet it's the most common question people ask. But we don't think about it. In fact, I'm going to actually reference back to our conversation we just had here, Ms. Moyer.
Yes.
Are you ready?
Yeah, ready.
The next question is, why do you do what you do? This is important. You want to have an answer of why you do what you do. Emotion, yeah. And this is the part where people go wrong, is they come up with a very artificial, stale why that keeps it very professional. When in fact, what people want is emotion. Whatever the emotion is, by the way. The emotion could be laughter and humor, as I did with, first name?
Jan.
Jan, okay. I was going to say Jan, but I knew it was Miss Moyer, though.
You did good.
Yeah. Is it Miss or Mrs.?
Mrs.
Mrs. Moyer. Sorry, I'm going out there. All right, here we go. So she asked me, we're chatting here a little bit, and do you remember what you asked me? She said, why are you running for mayor?
Right.
Right? So in this particular situation, I went for the humor route, right? And I knew exactly what I was going to say as soon as she asked me the question, because people ask me that question every single day. So she says, why are you running for mayor? And I said, well, probably poor decision-making skills and a love for abuse, right? And I just got a little laugh for it, right? But I had it ready to go, right? Yep. Now, if my voter over here would have asked me the question, I'm not going to joke around with him on that one, right? So if he says, why are you running for mayor? Well, I'm going to say that's a great question. You know what? Contribution has been my highest value in life, probably long before I even knew what values were. and I've committed my life to improving the quality of others. In my 20s and 30s, it was all about personal development. And then in my 30s and 40s, I get into business development. And now that I've entered the second half of my life in my 50s, I want to create a contribution at a greater level. And I think the next ring of that is to make sure that I contribute to this city in the best way possible.
Excellent.
Yeah, you got to have that emotion. Yeah. So whatever your why is, make it good, right? And you can have a couple of different options as well. Let me share with you a couple of my favorite whys that I've helped some of my clients script before. By the way, Michelle's why is amazing. I remember her why when she was going through the program. You probably delivered the why up here, I would imagine. Do you feel comfortable delivering your why today? Yeah. She's got a great story about her lineage, in Detroit and made in America and all that kind of stuff, and I love it, right? Here's a couple of my favorites. One of them was from a lady named Jordan Jenkins, who lives here in Tampa. She's a family lawyer, specializes in collaborative divorce. She helps people get divorced, and it's a great experience for them. They actually have a divorce party at the end, and it's fun. Yeah? And here's her why, and I know it because I helped her construct it. She says, the reason why I'm so passionate about helping people get a divorce in loving, peaceful ways is because when I was 8 years old, my mother and father got divorced. My mom put me in the station wagon, moved me all the way across the country, and I never saw my father again. And I'll be damned if I'm going to let another 8-year-old girl grow up without her daddy. You don't care about her degree. You don't care about how many divorces she's worked with. That's your divorce attorney if you got a kid and you don't want to screw them up in the head with the divorce, right? Like it's just such a great pitch because it just hits you right there in that heart, right? Such a great idea. So why do you do what you do, right? Why are you willing to spend hours setting up these lights for a demo, knowing that they haven't even agreed to buy them yet? Why do you enjoy lighting up people's trees and their walls and the shrubbery and creating these land? Am I totally screwing with the camera, people? But I feel like I'm dodging a sniper here. I'm really messing with you guys. Sorry about it. I'll try to just plan it. There we go. We're making them earn their money today, by the way. Why do you do what you do? What gives you that passion, and where's that emotion? Maybe for you, the reason why you do what you do is because you've always been an artist. But in the world of art, nobody appreciates the beauty until you've been dead for 50 years. Or maybe you've always been that creative soul, but you didn't have a channel for which you could do that and yet maintain a healthy quality of life for your family. What is it that inspires you? Maybe your story is really personal and you struggled throughout a junior high and high school with reading and math and all of those things because you were more of the intellectual type, you were more of the get your hands dirty type. And yet you knew that you were capable of more than just simply shoveling dirt and putting plants in the ground. And this is your way of being an entrepreneur that allows you to bring out that artistic side of you. What is that why inside you? And maybe it's not, maybe you don't even care about lighting, right? Maybe your why is because you've got a 3-year-old daughter that lives at home and you want to make sure you provide for her the best possible living you can. And this is the perfect job for you because it gives you the ability to work during times where her mother is at home taking care of her, but then you can spend the time with her during the day. I don't know what it is, right? But you have a reason for why you do what you do. And I know it's strong. And I know it's strong because you're here and not anywhere else. You've flown in from wherever you are, from Portland, Oregon, right? Or from Texas, or from, where's my good guy from New Orleans that clearly does not sound like from New Orleans? It's Anthony? Yeah. Have you heard him talk? That is not a New Orleans accent. That guy's from the Bronx. I'm quite certain of it. He says he's from New Orleans, but I'm not buying it. Yeah, right? You're here, man. You came in from New Orleans. They got better food than we do, but you came all the way down here. Why, right? You're here because you love lights, and that should be commended, right? You have a passion for this business. There's something that excites you about it. What is that compelling why? Find that story and own it, and be as first person as you possibly can, and have some emotion with it. And I'll tell you what, that's how you win people over. We live in a society where people will do business with people based on why they do it, more than how good they are at it. Do you guys get that? People will do business with you because of why you're doing it, more so than why you're good at, whether you're good at it. Yeah. So that's the next thing. How are we doing here on time? Yep, am I okay? Yeah, and keep going a little bit longer. All right, cool. Excuse me. The next thing is when you're delivering a pitch, especially in a social environment, if there's a way for you to leave them, this is called the primacy and recency effect. Primacy and recency is we tend to remember the first thing we hear, we tend to remember the last thing that we hear. And all the stuff in the middle, we kind of need to be reminded of several times. So the last step is what we refer to as the essence of your business. In other words, what's that indelible, lasting impression that you want to leave on someone? And this is where you can have a little bit of fun. Use the creative side of you that lights up homes to light up your pitch right now. Shine the best light on your pitch right here. Make it one line. It's a statement, it's a sentence, it's got punch, it's memorable. We don't want it to be a slogan. We don't want to get into the side of kind of hokey and slogany, okay? I'm not saying that slogans are bad, but they usually don't belong inside a pitch necessarily. But what is that thing that you want to be known for? What is your reputation, right? So you'd say something like, so you go through your whole pitch and you get done and you say something like, we're known for something, right? So we're known for making the outside of your house. I already said that at the beginning part. Let me see if we can come up with something a little more creative. We're known for making your house look better at night than the sun could even shine on it during the day, right? Something, it can be a little artistic, right? Or, we're known for making mansions look as valuable as they really are, right? What is that one sentence that you could throw out that's just a cool thing to kind of leave them in the indelible mark of their mind? And if you hit those things in a party, you're going to be memorable. You're going to have clarity. You're going to have credibility. You want to be able to identify what the problems are and how you'll solve them specifically. And then let me know why you do what you do. And if you let me know why you do what you do, I'm more likely to do business with you. And then just give me something to hold inside my brain. Give me that one little last flavor, that little punctuation at the end that I now have a way of remembering. Yeah? All right, well, hopefully this was valuable for you guys. Thank you so much for your time and your attention. If you have any questions about this in further detail, Michelle understands this whole pitch architecture, so she can be a great mentor and coach for you guys on that one. I would like to say call me. I'd be happy to help you, but I will tell you, the next 2 weeks, man, it is full-on campaign mode at this point in time. So thank you so much. Appreciate you.